name's Kelly McLeod. If I look familiar to you, it's probably because you've been in my taxi. And if you were nice to me, all is well. If not, you're going to feel like a dick now. I was a medic with the Special Service Force. I served 81 to 86 and 1990 to 98. I did the first Gulf War. However, I didn't deploy because it ended 4 days. I went to Somalia. I went to Rwanda. I'll tell you some of the experiences I went through, and then I'll talk to you about how PTSD has affected me and what it's meant for me. Christmas Day, 1992, we deployed to Somalia. Probably one of the hardest things I ever did to say goodbye to my kids on Christmas Day, going 10,000 kilometers away and not knowing if I'll ever come home again. I'll give you two or three examples of the more significant incidences that happened to me in Somalia. And we'll talk a little bit about Rwanda, and then I'll explain to you. I have to give you a bit of a back history so you understand where the PTSD comes from for me. We all survived. I broke my back. I had a punctured lung. Sergeant Major had 2 blown out eardrums and a broken arm. And Rob cut his chin. All in all, good day. Now, turn to Bob Deeks, a good friend of mine. We were working up in a place called Montalban. He was a medic with the American Special Forces. Him and I were the only 2 medics up in this region we were working in. We got very close. And about 6 weeks into the mission, Bob went out on his routine patrol. I went out on mine. For whatever reason, Bob decided that day he wanted to drive the Humvee, hit an IED, and was killed. That was March 3rd. I was a very angry, bitter person. This, now, after all of these things, I'm starting to have some issues. I don't know what's wrong with me. I know I'm starting to have nightmares. It's starting to affect not my performance as a soldier. Being shot at, I don't think was an issue for me. It just pissed me off. And every time it ever did happen, if you shoot at me once, I will shoot at you with 3 magazines. I'll give it back to you tenfold than we usually did. But I'm starting to drink more. And when I go on R&R, which was 72 hours, either in Nairobi or Mombasa, double Jack Daniels and Coke for 3 days straight. That's what I did. Got through the mission, got home. I was married at the time with 2 sons. I became very promiscuous. I went away on a career course, and if it was a female and I was drinking, it was on. I noticed something wrong with me, but I didn't know what at this time. Finished the course, almost lost my career at this point because of my drinking and partying and all the other stuff I'm doing. And somebody said, man, you just need to calm down. You're coming off a mission, you went straight on a career course. You just need to calm down. I didn't get a chance to calm down because then Rwanda happened. And most of you probably learned about Rwanda in high school. Rwanda, for lack of a better term, is probably the closest thing to hell I can imagine anything ever being. For 5 months, there was no place in that country we could go that we weren't surrounded by dead people. If you want an experience or get a general idea of what the missions were like that I did, Black Hawk Down movie is a good example. It's a bad example in that tactically it was a really big blunder for the Americans. Canadian soldiers would never put themselves in that situation. Shake Hands with the Devil. I watched it once. It was a big mistake, but Shake Hands with the Devil was actually filmed where we had worked. All the things you see happen in that movie actually happened in the places in that movie. Part in the movie where a woman is gang raped by 6 soldiers. And she grabs one of the grenades and blows herself and the soldiers up. I went in and cleaned that up. To see this at the podium of a church with a great big crucifix on a wall behind you and all these bodies. When we cleaned that church up, there were 4,500 men, women, children, and babies we took out of there. It took 3 weeks to clean up. That was the beginning of the end for me. Okay, Special Forces, fast-track career, going places, doing things. I can get the job done. So I come back from Rwanda, I don't know what to do with myself, so I put everything into training. I did the Ironman competition. I did everything I could to keep myself so busy that I couldn't think about what had happened to me and what I'd been through. The more I focused on work, the more I focused on training, the less I could think about it. To the point where I was doing 33-kilometer runs every Friday afternoon with a 40-pound pack, so that I would be so exhausted when I got home from work, I'd drink a few beers, pass out, and get through the night. In 1996, I had found out my best friend had been sleeping with my ex-wife, now first wife, and I almost killed him. That was the end of my career, the end of everything for me, I thought at the time. I spent the next 12 years drunk and suicidal. I was fortunately diagnosed in 1996 because I had some really good friends who realized that I was in trouble. The military wanted to punt me out. Goodbye, you're gone. Some people in the military that were good people said, you're not going to do this to this guy. And an odyssey of a 3-year journey through the legal system in the military before I was pensioned out. And as far as I know, still to this day, the highest award of PTSD claim Canadian Forces history. Money's great, but it doesn't give me back my career. It doesn't give me back the relationship with my kids, which I still don't have one, or a good one, or what I would like to have with my kids. They're all men now, they're all grown up, they're all doing their own thing, and I wish I could have a better relationship with them. But when you grow up with a dad who's drunk and angry all the time, it's kind of hard to have a relationship with him. You know. I met Jeanette. I used to be a pretty big guy. She lost her daughter. And she was in the hospital seeking help to deal with that. Me, I was just an idiot. I had a shaved head, a goatee, and about 3 times bigger than I am now, and got escorted into the 3rd floor of the Belleville General Hospital with the tactical team. I made Jeffrey Dahmer look like a Boy Scout, I'm sure. Jeanette said that I absolutely terrified her the first time she saw me, but over the next couple of weeks got to know me, and one thing led to another, and here we are. 12 years later, we're still together. You never know where that person's going to be in your life. We're 20 plus years on from my last mission, and I still have nightmares today as bad as I did 20 years ago. A veteran posted on Facebook the other day, and I thought, this was absolutely amazing. PTSD, pretty tired of surviving death. The worst thing that can happen to a soldier is not dying, I promise you. Those of us that have to come back and live in relative obscurity and deal with what we went through and try and make it through every day, trying to build a life again. It's been 20 years and I still haven't figured it out yet. I'm getting better, but I still haven't figured it out.
My name is Jeanette. I'm a veteran's wife. My husband and I have been together for 12 and a half years. Let me share a little history on me and the life I have lived. I'm not only a veteran's wife, I am the daughter of a World War II veteran. So you may have thought that I would have had some experience growing up with PTSD. No, my father talked about it very little, about his experience and what he had seen. He hid it pretty well because when I met my husband Kelly, I had no idea what to expect. My husband and I met after his discharge. I remember the first time we met. His exact words were to me, "I'm a drunk." Consider me foolish as to why any girl wouldn't have walked away at that time. But I saw something more, not knowing what it was. He told me he had PTSD. I had no idea what was going to lay ahead of me over the next few months, years. This is our life. The first month was great. We laughed, we joked around, walked hand in hand, kissed in public, did things with the children. Everything normal couples do. I now call this the honeymoon period. Unfortunately, it came to a screeching halt. As time went on, I started to notice more of the drinking. Every night there would be a case of beer, and I'm not talking no six-pack. And when that was gone, there was never a hesitation to go and get another case. I started to notice how he would drink to the point of passing out, and he never slept peacefully. I would often say to him, "You need to cut back on the amount you're drinking." But it was always in the back of my mind. Well, he told me from the start. So then the day came that changed my life, that changed me, that changed us. At this point, I will fast forward. For those of you that are spouses, family members, friends, caregivers, you will understand. We needed help. We needed it now. I could not do it anymore. So I reached out, only to be told that I was not the only one. Well, he has been offered help before. There's a several-month waiting list. Really? It was affecting him. It was affecting me. It was affecting our children. We really needed help. So I took matters into my own hands. I did not care if he had been offered it before. He was going to get it this time. Yes, it has taken a toll on our entire family. Our 4 children, family, parents, siblings. Whether it's through anger, avoidance, PTSD has certainly an impact on each and every one of us. Today we move forward together as a couple, stronger, helping others, ending the silence, bringing awareness and education to PTSD, and myself, the caregiver. Kelly will say that he is going to live a short life. That is possible. We never know when any of us are going to go. I've always said the opposite, that as a caregiver, I will go first. A person who suffers from PTSD, we all know the symptoms, the anxiety, the anger. For someone with PTSD, they're able to release that anger, a lot of it. The yelling, the screaming. We as a caregiver, we have nobody. There is absolutely nobody for us. So we take it in, we take a deep breath, we suck it down. We have no release of that. There is no support in our community for us. All our systems out there rely on us. If we don't function, our home does not function. So, getting off track, I would have to say that physically, not only mentally, physically it is very hard on us. There was a time in my life where I wondered which one of us actually had the illness, the anxiety, the panic attacks.